I've always believed that the Bulgarian rescue of Jews is unique. Unique not only in its scope of size, but in the fact that it happened in a country which was allied to the Nazis. It happened to a country where everybody in position of authority or not authority stood up to say no. It happened when the church said no, and the church was very, very important. We are still debating the Vatican. We are still asking the question, did Pope Pius know? Did he do? Well, look at Bulgaria, and you will see what the voice of a church can do. When you read the minutes of the synod, you want to applaud and you want to cry. It is so simple and so direct. The clear message of morality, the clear message of what is right and wrong, first should come from a church. So why is it that the only church it came from was the Bulgarian church? And then you had the parliamentarians, and they say the king, and peasants. Everybody who looked at the situation said, no, nothing is perfect in life. It wasn't perfect because it saved the Bulgarian Jews, and it didn't save the Macedonian and the Albanians. Okay, fine, I'm sorry. And I'm sure that a lot of people are sorry. But you know what? If every country in occupied Europe only saved its Jews, wow, we wouldn't need museums, we wouldn't need monuments, we would not be talking about a Shoah, about a Holocaust. So for me it's unique. Unique because all the elements of society stood up to say no to this evil. And I think it's a lesson that needs to be told today, continuously, and we need to begin with the Bulgarian people. They need to understand the heroic page that they wrote in history. They don't understand. They don't understand. So first we have to start here and then go beyond. People ask the question, do the museums around the world, the one in Jerusalem, the one in Washington, the one in New York, do they truly appreciate the story, the message? And I would say yes and no. It's there, it's in all the museums. I would like to see it more. I would like to see it in a greater role because, again, it is very unique. In the same way that they single out individuals. There is the righteous Gentile here and the righteous Gentile there and the righteous. Wow, this is still as close to a righteous country as we have anywhere. And so I would like to see it more highlighted. Unfortunately, there are politics. Unfortunately, the Greeks, I was in Greece before I came here, and I said, I'm going, why I'm going, that I feel this historic debt. And they said to me, but don't you know? I said, I know. But you know what? If the Greeks saved all the Jews of Saloniki and didn't save the Jews of Athens, I wouldn't come to complain. A lot of questions are asked about the role of King Boris III. I'm not a historian. I don't know. There are stories being told about the King of Denmark. And if you ask people who know about the Holocaust, they will tell you that the King of Denmark got on a horse, put on a yellow Star of David, and rode through the streets of Copenhagen. He never did. He never did. But it became an apocryphal story because it became the symbolism that the Danes acted in such a manner that's as if the king got on a horse and put on the yellow star. The Danes weren't as great as we want them to be. So I don't know. Again, the king is a symbol. To what extent he did, he didn't. Again, the story, the significance of Bulgaria is not one person did it. but the institutions, all the institutions, the political, the loyal, the parliamentarians, the church, the church, the church. So, one can argue he did early or not. To me, it's the complete entity. And if we talk about the King of Denmark, who didn't do anything as a hero, then certainly King Boris III deserves credit for being part of that heroic moment. I think it is critical for the world to know. We teach the Holocaust of all the horrors, and mostly the horrors. I want to teach my children not only the horrors. I want them to understand that not everybody in the world hated Jews and wanted to kill Jews. That there is in society an element of decency. I survived the Holocaust because there was a woman. She was my nanny. She wasn't so brilliant. She couldn't read or write so well. She didn't sit and make calculations, yes or no, because maybe if she looked at the risks, somebody else would be sitting here. Yeah, so I think the lesson for today, that people can make a difference, that if people stand up to say no, is not only a lesson for the past, it's a lesson for now and the future. Hatred is still here. Bigotry is still here. Racism is still here. Anti-Semitism is still here. We don't have a vaccine. The only vaccine we have is education, is moral examples. I came to this country even before it became free. But certainly after it became free, I came and I said to your president then, Stoyanov, I volunteer as an ambassador for Bulgaria. Because I believe that people who value goodness have a responsibility. And in this world of ours, there's a lot of competition for attention, for help, for support. And Bulgaria doesn't have resources. It's nice to visit, but it's not the great places to visit. But it has something very special. It has that special page in history which should embarrass all the capitals of art and opera and all these wonderful things. And I said to him, I will do whatever I can to get the world's or America's attention to say, pay attention to Bulgaria. Because there's something there that is important to us. So yeah, I think if the story is told and told and told and told, that's the attention that Bulgaria deserves. Things aren't that wonderful today. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of extremism. And I think we have a responsibility to worry about this jewel. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of nativism. There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of populism. There's a lot of xenophobia. It's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Muslim. It's anti-democracy. And I think there too we have a responsibility. Not just to say, okay, whatever you do, no, but to see if we can help strengthen the forces of decency, of democracy, of freedom, because they did it for us. And we can't just say, oh, who cares what happens here? We have to care and we should care. There is today, all over the world, movements for museums. And I don't know, not every country should have a museum, because what are the museums in most countries? The museums of most countries is a museum to the people who died, to the death and destruction. Yad Vashem, by the way, Yad Vashem changed its museum. They rebuilt it 5 years ago. Yad Vashem Museum originally focused on the perpetrators, on the murderers, on the Nazis. When you walked through Yad Vashem 5 years ago, all you saw were the murderers, how they killed, when they killed, where they killed, etc. And 5 years ago, somebody said, that's the wrong focus. They rebuilt the museum. The museum is a focus on the victims. It's their museum to remember those who lived, those who perished, and those that died. So when you talk about where should there be, there's a talk about museum in Rome and a museum in Milan. Okay, wonderful. Here is the real museum. Because here's a museum, if you do it, if you build it in Bulgaria, it's a museum of glory. It's a museum, yeah, it'll tell what happened all around. But it'll be a beacon of light. It'll be a beacon of light. It'll set a standard when people are being persecuted, when people are being discriminated against. Because to me, the message of the Shoah of never again is a Jewish message. It's on Jewish pain. We have the scars, but it's not limited to Jews. Because the message is never again to be silent, not only about Jews. When anyone, anywhere, is singled out because of who they are, what they look like, where they were born, what their belief is, what their sexual gender is, what their orientation is, it doesn't matter. Somebody who's singled out because he's the other. He's other than me or other than the norm. And that's the never again. And so I believe if there is a museum in Bulgaria, that museum will carry the message of never again should anybody be silent, and we were not silent. So yeah, I'm for it. The people are talking about Museum of Tolerance, maybe that's what it is, I don't know. But you know what? It should be in Bulgaria. It should be in Bulgaria, and it'll be different here than anywhere else in the world.